and welcome to my keto kitchen. I'm Victoria, and first off, this is Victoria's Keto Flour. I'm not bringing a new flour. I am simply answering the question that has been asked hundreds of times since I brought out Victoria's Keto Flour. I've been asked, can I use einkorn? If I use the einkorn whole wheat flour or the einkorn berries, how much do I need? What's the net carbs? Things like that. So that's what I'm bringing you today. This is not a new flour. This is still Victoria's Keto Flour. It's just based, instead of almond flour, it's using whole wheat einkorn. So I'm going to tell you how to use it all. I'll give you the net carb count. I'm actually going to bring you two ways to make Victoria's Keto Flour with einkorn. I'm going to give you a 10 net carb per cup recipe, and I'm going to give you a 17 net carb per cup recipe. And I have a bone to pick with all of those people that are going to come on here and they're going to say, einkorn is not keto. Okay, so there is no food necessarily that is not keto. Keto is based on the ketones in your blood, right? It is. I've said this so many times because I have epilepsy. I had to look into a doctor's way of doing keto, not just any YouTuber, how they want to do it, how they think it should be done. I had to go into an actual doctor's office. I had to get hooked up to machinery. I had to have an MRI. I had to have an MRI with contrast. I had to sleep with 2 different machines on me to check out my seizures. I'm not going about keto like just anybody here on YouTube. So I'm just telling you what I've been told. Keto is not, yes, this is keto and this is not keto. It is how your body reacts to a certain amount of carbs and a certain amount of sugars, and whether or not you can stay in ketosis. So if I were to compare myself to my husband, he can have more carbs and more sugars than I can. Now, when you're doing keto, there are foods that you can't eat very much of. You cannot eat hardly any table sugar. Will take you out of ketosis faster than anything else. What I'm trying to say is it just depends on you, your body. It's just going to depend on how many carbs you can have, how much sugar you can have. And a lot of you have used the einkorn in my keto flours. You've posted your blood results and you've said, hey, I'm totally fine. My body loves it. I'm staying in ketosis. It's not rising. This is wonderful. It tastes the best. I mean, to be honest, if you're using einkorn whole wheat flour or the einkorn berries and you're grinding them yourself, it does have the best taste in the flour. The results taste the best. It just does. Einkorn has a stronger, much stronger wheat taste, so you don't need very much of it to get that regular white flour type of taste. So I just had to pick that bone with anybody that's going to say einkorn is not keto. If you were to eat all einkorn, you would probably blow yourself out of ketosis. Absolutely. But we are not eating all einkorn whole wheat flour. We are mixing it to where it is actually in the minority of the full ratio of ingredients that are in this flour. Okay? So, I just had to get that off my chest. There's so many people that come after me for using whole wheat einkorn, and I'm just like, get the data. Let's break down the science. Go speak to a doctor. Don't come to me with some other YouTuber, because like myself, I'm not a doctor, but I have spoken with my doctors that have encouraged me to do a keto diet. Okay, I will leave it there. And all of you that love this recipe with einkorn, you test your blood glucose and you test your ketones, please go over to Facebook or in the comments. If someone's saying it's not keto and they just want to have a discussion about that, then you have actual proof. You can post pictures. But in this mixture, it's a small amount. It's 17 net carbs per cup. It takes 2 cups to make a whole loaf of my keto bread, which cuts into about 20 slices. So let's do the math. Okay. Here's my handy dandy calculator. At 17 carbs per cup, and it takes 2 cups to make my amazing keto bread, and I get 20 slices per loaf. Okay, that means that each slice of bread is 1.7 carbs. If 1.7 carbs blows anyone out of ketosis, then you might have an underlying issue. Now, with this flour, what is fun is that the gram amount for Victoria's Keto flour is going to stay the exact same. So in any recipe that says use Victoria's Keto flour and it gives you a gram or a cup, you do not need to ask me. You follow the recipe. Victoria's Keto flour, I break everything down so that it can be used 1 for 1, gram for gram, under the umbrella of Victoria's Keto flour. Okay, so my newest flour, this is the same thing. I'm just giving you an option for using whole wheat einkorn instead of all almond flour. So, I think I've ranted long enough. I think I gave you a lot of information, enough information that we can get started. So let's get started. Let's make this flour. I prefer to use this blend when I'm making food for my family or for church folks because there's my rooster. Because it tastes the best. There is a noticeable taste difference when you use einkorn. So let's get the base ingredients down. So first ingredient is bamboo fiber. We need 3 cups of bamboo fiber, which is 192 grams. Okay, clear out your scale. I always forget what that word is. What is that word? And I haven't had a seizure for a few weeks, thank the Lord. So, any of you praying for me, I want to say thank you. I appreciate it so much. Rooster! Okay, next we are going to add egg white protein powder. We need 1 cup of egg white protein powder, and that is 80 grams. Depending on the egg white protein powder that you use, check the label. You might have to do some math. Calculate how many grams you need for 1 cup. If it does not tell you how many grams you need for 1 cup, or say it's kind of complicated, just go with 80 grams. You should be just fine. Clear out your scale. We need 1 tablespoon, which is 10 grams of xanthan gum. Next, we need whole psyllium husk. Psyllium husk powder will ruin your flour, okay? It is not the same as grinding whole husk yourself. You take your psyllium husk, the whole husk, pour it into something like a Vitamix or a coffee bean grinder and grind it down half its size and volume. So say you put half of a cup into your grinder, then you will only get about 1/4 of a cup from that once you've ground it and it's shrunk. No, you cannot use psyllium husk powder. You cannot. There are so many videos on YouTube, you can look them up, on the difference between whole psyllium, ground psyllium, and psyllium husk powder. Do not use the powder, it will ruin your flour. You need to get whole psyllium husk, grind it to half its size and volume, and then weigh it. You need 20 grams, okay, which is about 2 tablespoons. I buy the psyllium husk and then I just grind it, put it in a bag, and then shove the bag back in the container. Because once I ground it, I know that I only need to scoop it out and weigh it. 20 grams. Clear your scale. And then I pour in 20 grams of ground whole psyllium husk, which again, that is not the same as powdered psyllium husk. Now, here's the fun part. You can buy a bag of whole wheat einkorn flour, or you can also buy a bag of einkorn berries. If you buy the berries, you will have to grind it yourself. Make sure your grinder is as fine as possible. I made the mistake one time and I did not have it grinding as absolutely fine as it could, and I wasn't coming out with a whole cup of einkorn flour. It was like 3/4 of a cup, and that's not normal. When you put in half of a cup of einkorn berries, you need to get out a whole cup of the flour. So you need to adjust your wheat grinder to where if you put in half a cup of berries, you get out a full cup of flour. Now, I'm looking at my phone because I have it written down. If you want to do the 10 net carbs per cup, you will need to add 3/4 of a cup of almond flour and 3/4 of a cup of einkorn ground berries, or 3/4 of a cup of einkorn whole wheat flour. That will be 84 grams of almond flour and 72 grams of whole wheat einkorn flour. So that's if you want to do about 10 net carbs per cup of your flour, which this is good. It's fine. It's not my favorite. My favorite is when I use my grinder and I get an entire 1.5 cups of freshly ground whole wheat einkorn berries. All right, now, something I need to break down to you guys, because I was so confused for the longest time, and it took several phone calls to get a hold of a professional that actually grows this einkorn berry and grinds the einkorn flour, and told me, why is there a discrepancy? When you buy Jovial's whole wheat einkorn flour, it says that there's about 39 net carbs per cup in that bag of flour. However, if you were to buy the Jovial einkorn berries and you were to calculate using the berries to get 1 cup of that flour, the carbs are 62 per cup of ground berries, and the flour already ground pre-bagged is 39 net carbs per cup. I was so confused. I said, that doesn't make any sense, because they are telling me it's the exact same thing. We don't add, we don't take away, we just take the berries, we grind it, and we sell it to you so that you don't have to get a mill and grind it yourself. And I said, then tell me why the carbs are so different. And finally, I got a hold of someone who told me what happened. So this is what happened. The year that Jovial had the einkorn flour tested for the nutritional label, that was a very rainy year. The year that they tested the berries was actually a very dry year. So what happens when you have wheat, or actually anything, and it is a very rainy, lustrous year, and the wheat is getting a lot of water, not over water, but a healthy amount of water, the carbs in that wheat will go down. Yet, if it is a very dry year, the carbs are going to go up. I had no idea. So just because a label, and this goes with any flour, nut flours, wheat flours, that's why when you get a label and you're like, well, this brand has more carbs and this brand has less carbs. It just depends on the year that they test their items. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm taking 3/4 of a cup of einkorn berries, and I am going to grind them down to 1.5 cups, because half of 1.5 cups is 3/4 of a cup. And your wheat grinder should grind exactly 50% more once you grind the berries, okay? For those of you interested at how much einkorn berries I go through, I actually buy it by the bucket, okay? Because I go through this stuff a lot. I'm going to set my 3/4 cup on here. I'm going to clear it out. Then I'm going to scoop up the berries. I need 144 grams. That is 147. I tell you what, this comes so close. I need 144 grams of berries. This 144 grams worth of berries will give me 1.5 cups of einkorn, whole wheat einkorn flour. So, and to show you exactly what it gives me, I'm going to use a clear dish, and I'm going to let it fill up exactly what 3/4 of a cup of berries will look like. Look at that. Okay, so we already weighed this. We know that it's 144 grams. It is exactly 1.5 cups of einkorn flour. That Nutritional right there grinds so fine. I have it on the most fine setting, and it feels like baby powder. Now, we shake it. Okay, and that is it. That is all you have to do. If say all you have to do, there's a bit of a process if you want to use the einkorn whole wheat flour. If you want to grind it yourself, that's the way I do it, because my family, I make bread for my family. I make all einkorn flour bread for them. They're not always on keto, but I do want them healthy. So I love this because I make my own bread. There's nothing in it that is unhealthy, no preservatives, nothing like that. And I prefer that when I eat as well. I can say that with Victoria's Keto flour, this is my favorite. It's the best tasting. Like I said, when you follow the recipe, gram for gram, cup for cup. This is still Victoria's Keto flour. It's just using whole wheat einkorn instead of almond, or you can use half almond, half einkorn. That recipe will also be in the recipe link. I'm gonna try to link both of them, both recipes, on the website so that you can just scroll and see both of them. I'm thinking, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I get thousands of questions. Forgive me for not replying. I just can't. My day job is my family. This is just something I have fun with on the side. So there's no way I can reply. That's another reason I recommend my Facebook page, because there are so many sweet people over there that will help you. They will come to the rescue. They've used my flour for a while. They know how it goes, and they'll help you. So the link to my Facebook is in the description box below. Please go there if you have questions. And if you want to post pictures, you make something beautiful, go over there and let everybody know. They would love to see it. I hope this recipe is a blessing. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please go over to Facebook. If you make something, post a picture. Tell us what you think. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And I hope you all have a blessed day.